It's February 9th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have men sealed in steel, listening to voices that weren't there, a government bending time at a cost of human exhaustion, and a new innovation debuts on a runway. Let's begin. On February 9, 1942, the war beneath the sea had been already claiming crews without warning, men who vanished into the darkness and were never returned. That year, submarines disappeared regularly, vanishing without wreckage and without final messages. Crews were simply erased. Among those sent into the Mediterranean was the HMS Tribune, a steel coffin designed to survive where humans were never meant to exist. During a patrol, she was struck and crippled. A torpedo compartment flooded, steel doors slammed shut, sealing men away in the black. The captain ordered the ballast blown, forcing the submarine upward, but survival came at a cost. Inside, the air began to die. Lights faded, oxygen thinned, and carbon dioxide rose. Sailors rationed breath, whispering to conserve air, and every breath became thinner than the last. Some later admitted they heard voices, calling their names from the sealed compartments, from the dark water outside the hull, where no one was. The hallucinations grew stronger as the air turned toxic. Faces appeared, and hands scraped along the hull from the inside. It was the mind turning against itself. The Tribune survived, scarred, leaking, and barely alive. And among her crew, they admitted something had followed them back, carried in their breath long after the sea let them go. They escaped the depths, but not the darkness, because the mind remembers, but the body survives. On February 9th, 1942, time itself was quietly altered across the United States. By order of the government, every clock was pushed forward 1 hour, not for convenience, but for war. The change was called wartime, and overnight millions of Americans woke up in a country where the sun no longer rose when it was supposed to. Winter mornings became unnaturally dark, children walked to school under black skies, and factory workers and commuters moved through the streets only lit by street lamps and uncertainty. Newspapers described the shift as disorientating, and some called it unnatural. Farmers were among the most vocal opponents. Crops couldn't be harvested until the dew evaporated, and the cows, unaware that time had changed, refused to adjust. Productivity dropped and frustration grew. But the most chilling consequence was confusion. Accidents increased, fatal mistakes were blamed on the darkness and exhaustion, and from what many called government-mandated jet lag. For 3 years, America lived out of sync with the sun, proving that even a constant such as time can be bent, and that the consequences can linger long after the clock resets. On February 9th, 1969, something enormous lifted off the runway in Washington state. The aircraft was the Boeing 747, bigger than anything that had ever flown before. Engineers called it an aircraft, critics called it impossible, and others quietly called it a flying disaster waiting to happen. The jet pushed the limits of metal, physics, and human confidence. It had a strange humpback shape, an upper deck no commercial plane had ever dared to attempt. To make it work, designers had taken risks, and they didn't know how to fully test it. As the engines roared, test pilots knew the stakes. If something failed in the air, there would be no graceful recovery, only history's largest crash. But the giant rose anyways. The aircraft would soon earn the nickname the Queen of the Skies. With the backing of Pan Am, built by Boeing, the 747 would slash ticket prices, flood the skies with passengers, and quietly make vast cities not so distant. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.